So, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet are finally here, and after close to a dozen hours playing this game, it's safe to say that I've formed enough opinions to constitute something of a first impression. Keep in mind this is far from a full review. It's just my thoughts on the game early on, having beaten one gym and one Titan Pokémon. So expect a lot more commentary on broad strokes about the game, not things that are sure to take a full playthrough to really understand, like the story or new Pokémon. So right off the bat, there is a fair amount to praise this game for. From the very first trailer, as rough as things all around the game have continued to look, well, the textures look absolutely phenomenal. I've had a blast encountering Pokémon both new and old, and being blown away by just how neat it is that they each have some kind of unique texture, whether that's the fur on Palmy or the scales on Fuecoco. I thought going in that I would hate this update. I thought that Pokémon was best left as cartoony and cel-shaded, like in Sword and Shield, and that the environment should scale down from realism to match the stylized Pokémon. But now I feel the opposite. I think 3D Pokémon themselves have never looked better, and I'd be fine with the continuation of the style so long as the environment looked a little better. Yeah, this is the big elephant, or I guess Don fan, in the room. What can I even say that already hasn't been said a million times? These games are clearly rushed, and it's really disheartening to see. Again, I have little that I feel that I can say right now that you don't already know, or think yourself. Really poorly rendered textures on grass, cliffs, even buildings. I will say, however, that I am a lot more bothered by the lack of depth, rather than the lack of fidelity. What I mean by that is that these poor textures often reveal a disturbing part about the game that I don't like, which is that it's regressed from Legends Arceus and back to Sword and Shield levels, where there's a sense of shallowness in a lot of crucial places. These can be found all over the game. I'm disappointed that so many NPCs can't be talked to, instead sitting idly and perhaps even offering a single word as a pop-up. I'm disappointed that virtually no buildings besides the important ones can be explored. I'm disappointed that many of the important buildings reveal only a menu where you can buy items, rather than offering a shop that you can browse. I'm also perhaps too early in the game to tell, but these open areas feel a bit closer to the wild areas of Galar than the different areas of Legends. Sure, there are trainers abound for battling, and comparatively more to do, but it is sad to see that there are far fewer geographic points of interest, variation, and hidden man-made locations on these routes. All I've really found are different biomes of grass or rock that offer very poorly rendered elevation changes. The unnamed randomly placed ruins and watchtowers have offered zero explanation as to their existence, and they really feel thrown in to add something besides the Pokémon centers in these empty roads full of Pokémon and trainers. They feel added out of obligation, rather than purpose. I have to say, something as small as naming these points of interest in Legends Arceus left a lot of charm, a sense of respect and love for the world that I simply don't really feel here. This extends to the Pokémon themselves. Again, I'm pretty early on, so maybe I haven't experienced the full depth of the game's possibilities so far, but I've noticed a lot of the overworld interactions from Arceus are gone, ones that really made me fall in love with that game. Gone are the differences in Pokémon behavior, like neutral, running away, and aggression. I've noticed a few Pokémon in Paldea will react to you, but they take so long to do so that you can run away before the animation even finishes. So the outcome of their behavior doesn't really have any bearing on how you have to traverse the open world. I really miss having the open wilderness be enhanced by Pokémon that you simply couldn't outrun, or that would send blasts of elemental attacks in your direction. Sure, you can sneak around in Paldea, but I miss dodging, ducking, and rolling away, and having that real-time kinetic energy added to my exploration. There's that sense of danger missing in Paldea, which again contributes to a lack of depth. That's pretty much the bulk of what I explicitly don't like so far, but that's not to say that these are failed entries in the franchise. Far from it. What I really do like about the game so far came as a total surprise to me, since I figured this would be the negative stuff, and everything I just said before would be the positive stuff. Because I really love the fact that the range that we're given is so ambiguous right off the bat, and nearly limitless. For the first time since probably X and Y, I can say that there's just the right amount of tutorials and early game cutscenes, for me at least. I'm really happy with the pace and the progression that I've experienced. with just the starter acquisition and the legendary encounter and befriending serving as the only interruptions. I didn't feel like I was walking down a linear hallway waiting to have another conversation with the rival. I felt like there was a point on the map where I knew I'd be able to progress the story if I wished, but the physical geography of the world gave me a choice as to how long I'd want to myself before triggering that, evidenced by the linear dirt paths that serve as the optimal fastest routes to progress the story, and an incredibly vast open forest, beach, or field on the sidelines that I could explore on my own terms. I was equally impressed by how Mesagoza was handled on the first visit too. To be quite honest, I was never really looking forward to the school element, and I was bracing for a significant portion of the early game to trap you in the school and send you out on very limited quests, using the school as a hub before unlocking free range. So imagine my surprise when I spent about 15 minutes talking to Clavel, Nemona, and Arven before literally being set free to explore the entire region. So many characters repeatedly tell you that they want you to do whatever you want, and that there's no expectation that you conform to anyone's opinion. Does that kill the urgency of the story or the game as a whole? So far, I think it's a little too early to tell, but my gut is telling me no. I really like everything we've been given so far. I like that Team Star is set up as a believable nuisance who kinda occupies their own territory, and not a world-ending threat. I like that Nemona is being set up as a nice, mature mentor, not an annoying friend who worships you and spends the whole game trying to be like you or catch up to you. Her motivations are unclear so far, but her characterization is so refreshing. The only confusing one so far is Arven, who at the beginning seems to have some kind of nefarious thing going on, and is set up as a jerk rival, but was pretty helpful and nice following the Cloth encounter. So the jury is still out on that. However, the biggest intrigue so far for me is the role of the legendaries. I am absolutely loving what I'm seeing so far. We're being fed just the right amount of information, with the version-exclusive professors seeming like they have some kind of connection to the legendaries, who may have been brought here by accident using that chasm in the middle of the region. But who knows? If you've followed this channel since summer, you know one of my hype season videos for these games explained my fear that the legendary wouldn't be handled properly, given that they're such a major mainstay in your journey. But I love that the legendary almost feels like a goofy, innocent buddy, and isn't really hyped up to be some kind of all-powerful god. It seems like they're just a Pokemon that happens to be from the past or the future, that was brought here by accident, and other than that, they are, for all intents and purposes, just a regular Pokemon. Some characters even say that they bear resemblance to Cyclizar, further proving the casual nature of these legendaries. I really hope they aren't revealed to be some kind of incredibly godlike Pokemon later on, because I really like the fact that the characterization of these Pokemon has consistently established these guys to be just helpful buddies. So with the casual nature of these story elements and the free-roaming nature of the gameplay, there is undoubtedly one more aspect of the game to touch on before I end this, one that I truly do feel mixed about, and think I will continue to feel mixed about as I continue through the game, to be honest. That is level scaling and progression. At this point, it's no secret that the game does not level scale its story elements, be it gym battles, Titan encounters, or Team Star raids. And of course, I find that very disappointing. On one very obvious hand, I find it gross that Pokemon spent months explicitly telling us that this was an open world experience, when it is objectively not. But on the other, I am at a point in my life where I'm kinda done acting surprised that a major corporation lied to me, much less let it ruin my day when it's a video game company. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be upset, but I'd rather look at what we have and analyze it from there. From my gameplay so far, I've come to realize that this is a semi-open world experience, because you can do stuff in any order, but there is a preferred order. It kind of seems like it follows a donut shape around Paldea, where it starts at the bottom, goes to Mesagoza, and then branches out left and right from there, with paths you can follow heading upwards on both ends of the map, before they meet up at the crater in that northernmost area, which I assume will be the highest leveled area? That's just my assumption, and that's how I'm going to play the game. I've explored to the left of Mesagoza first, taking on the Bug Gym, because the map told me it was a good beginner gym. I then turned right back to Mesagoza, where I'm currently heading northeast to Artisan. That's where I took on Cloth, and I plan on completing the Artisan, Grass Gym, and my first Team Star base, the Fire one. So I'll be alternating between the left and the right sides of the map, with a healthy mix of the three quest lines. Again, this leaves a mixed reaction for me and many others. I like that there is minor variance to be had in our journeys, and it's fun hearing stories about people who trudged through to advanced areas for the challenge and thrill, versus people like me who are taking it slow and balanced, in what is likely the recommended order. But on the negative side, it really is unfortunate that many of us just don't know. We're left wondering whether we're getting the best experience purely by guessing the optimal order of progression. And of course the negative impression upon realizing that we were misled, and the game has not implemented what I assume would be a simple fix in level scaling, and absolutely would be making the game so much better. For those primary reasons, along the poor performance and graphical quality of the game, and the extreme lack of depth that I discussed earlier, my final statement for today is that, so far, I am not feeling quite as immersed in the game as I would like to be. I don't feel a great sense of wanting to explore the world itself, but rather I feel myself wanting to get through these open routes to see new Pokemon, and to get to areas where I know something interesting will happen, which is just the cities, starbases, and Titan locations. Unlike Legends, where I could count on an interesting Pokemon behavior, a strange spot in the overworld, or a plot element in the open area, I don't see that with these new games. And as a result, I don't feel that magical, can't put it down kind of feeling that I got with Legends. Of course I am enjoying these games, but by and large, it's because it's the classic Pokemon gameplay formula, with what is shaping up to be a minimal but interesting enough story for my liking. Not because of anything new the game is doing, and certainly not because of iteration on how it handles openness in the wilderness, because there isn't much iteration at all. I may be slightly disappointed here and there, but these games are not by any means ruined for me. In terms of ranking so far, I would put them squarely between Sword and Shield and Legends Arceus, with a huge gap on both ends, since I am having a way better time here than in Galar, but far less than I did in Hisui. So far these games are just okay, and I am holding out hope that they'll get better. What do you think of the game so far? Let me know down below, and I can't wait to continue to make videos about these games as I discover more and form a larger perspective and opinion. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for more content.